Hey gang, sorry I was a little late. Hello, welcome, good morning. Yeah, is it 9 o'clock? Is it 9? Yeah, all right. How's it going? I'm Todd Nauck, professional comic book artist, and I'm continuing my series of Post-it note sketches here, hashtag Post-it Pop Art. So if you're new to my live streams, first of all, welcome, so glad you're here. If you joined me here the past couple of weeks, so glad you're back. We're just having fun during this coronavirus stay-at-home season. So hopefully you're staying at home as much as possible, staying, safe, staying healthy, staying, washing those hands. And yeah, so let's, while we're all kind of cooped up at home, whether we're home from school, home from work, let's do some art and have some fun. So today I'm drawing the Avengers. An Avengers character, I should say, not all the Avengers. And I picked one of my personal favorite characters, Wonder Man. I just think he's an interesting character, and we're going to go with kind of his classic, super classic look from the late 70s, early 80s, his red safari jacket look, which you might have seen in the preview pic from that one-shot special drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz cover. So let's flip the camera around and let's get to drawing. So as I readjust the rig, I want to welcome everyone again. So glad you're here. Feel free to draw along. Use whatever art tools you have, and use whatever paper you have. You certainly don't have to do it on a Post-it note, and you certainly don't have to have the same tools I use. The main thing here is to have fun drawing. Readjusting the lighting here a little bit. There we go. So I like to start with my pencil. I use the Uni Kuratoga 0.3 mechanical pencil with HB lead. And we're kind of on a really light blue-gray Post-it here. Thought it might be an interesting choice here for Wonder Man. I considered using a red Post-it, but I thought maybe his skin tone wouldn't show up well on the red Post-it. Maybe it would, but I thought, you know what, let's try this color. We haven't used this color yet. So we're starting with this circle here to get the skull going. Then you bring some straight lines down and angle towards a chin here. I want to make sure I give him a strong jaw. So I'm going to keep that in mind. Putting his head at a little bit of a tilt. Kind of get the neck muscles going down here. Now he'll have his turtleneck on, so we won't see much of these neck muscles, but I just like to know how the muscles will fit there and pull, so that when I draw the turtleneck over it, I have a little bit more accuracy on the placement. So we got the eye line halfway down, nose line halfway from here to there, the mouth line roughly. Start to work in where his eyes will be. He'll be wearing his shades. Definitely will be having his red shades on. So we won't see his eyeballs, but I like to know where they are, so when I draw the shades on, I know that they're accurately covering where his eyes would be. Going to pull these lines from the middle of the eye down to the chin to get an idea of how wide to make that mouth. Sides of the head here. Hairline about halfway down. He's got a nice full head of hair. So we're going to bring the hairline about halfway from the eye line from the top of the head. And the hairline will kind of cut that way. Let's see. Might have his eyebrows kind of peeking out from behind his shade, so I want to figure out where those are. Figure out where the nose is. Nice strong nose. The bridge down to the tip of the nose. And some nostrils there. We'll put one on each side. Might be a good number of nostrils. Now, if you're not familiar with Wonder Man, he is an Avenger that started off as a villain. He's a synthetic, somewhat of a synthetic human. He's made up of ionic energy, and he was originally created to infiltrate and destroy the Avengers from within, but then he turned against his evil overlords and became a full-fledged good guy and full-fledged Avenger. He is a founding member of the West Coast Avengers, which was one of my favorite comics as a kid in the 1980s. So now we're starting to work his shades in there. Just like nostrils, we went one on each side. We'll do one ear on each side. I think that's a good number of ears. He was from the Masters of Evil. Thank you, Rocket Prime Studios. Yes. The Masters of Evil. That's right. So, and he became an actor. He was a full-fledged movie actor. Was his alter ego, Simon Williams, and so which really made him a great candidate for the West Coast Avengers because he would already be on the West Coast. Start to work in the hair here. Kind of get those 80s bangs going. 80s male bangs. The 80s male hairstyles was a unique time, and he definitely was sporting that in the, I guess it was the early 1980s when he had this look. I haven't drawn this version of Wonder Man often. I know I've drawn this version at least once, but not too many times. So this is kind of a fun challenge for me, getting to draw something I've not drawn a lot. Gets me thinking in new ways. Definitely a fun puzzle challenge. So let's see. Had the cheeks there. Gotta get his Hollywood smile in here. So I'm going to start with the top lip. Put a little pull to the facial muscle there, and then down a little bit, over, and then back up. Bottom lip, chin. No dimple in the chin, so we don't want to make sure we don't put a dimple in his chin. Ultron used Simon's brainwaves. Right. And I think Wonder Man has a connection to the Vision. I think they use the engrams of the Vision as part of his personality. So he's kind of shares some memories or personality aspects of the Vision. Because I believe the Vision was created by a supervillain team, or a supervillain going solo to infiltrate and destroy the Avengers from within. In the comics, not the movies, the comics. So we got the collar. He's got that safari jacket collar popped. Pop that collar. 1980s, you got to pop the collar. And then his shoulders. Like that. And then the turtleneck. Ribs there. There's a seam that runs along the collar. All right, I think I got enough of the basics down here. To start moving towards the inks. All right, so let's go to inking, and I think this go around I'm going to ink with colored microns. We did this with Human Torch a couple of days ago, and I want to do that here with Wonder Man as well to kind of create some kind of that animation sort of cell animation look. So we're going to start with a black, and we're going to start with his hair. So from that hairline I drew in, I knew that the hairs will all pull to that hairline. So I start with the curve of the bangs first, since it's the foreground, and then from there I can pull underneath to get to the hairline to get that start getting that depth and the shape and flow to the hair. As I mentioned the other day, I think it was yesterday when I was drawing Valkyrie. Hopefully y'all tuned in for my Valkyrie on a post-it sketch. When it comes to drawing hair, first I like to know where the hairline is and where the full skull is. And then I break it up into chunky shapes, and then I add wispy strands of lines to create that kind of flow of hair. That's kind of my approach to drawing hair. Is chunky shapes with wispy lines. I think someone asked who was my favorite Avenger. In the comic books, She-Hulk. In the movies, right now I'm going to say Thor. Thor Ragnarok really put Thor at the top for me there. I think Chris Hemsworth as Thor is I just really love the approach to Thor Ragnarok. So that put him up as my favorite Avenger. And he's held that spot since Ragnarok. Through Infinity War, through Endgame. But in the comics right now, She-Hulk. She-Hulk, Wonder Man, the Beast are some of my favorite Avengers. So hopefully you can see how those chunky shapes and then individual wispy lines are helping create this hair and the flow to the hair. Because you gotta get that 80s feather going on. Even the men were sporting some feathered hair in the 1980s. It wasn't just Farrah Fawcett and the ladies. It was there for the dudes as well. Have I ever met Max Dunbar in person? Absolutely I have. Met him a couple of times, even had dinner with him at WonderCon 2019 with him and Jim Zub. And yeah, love his art, and I think he's a great guy too. Yeah, Max Dunbar, great artist, great guy. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my zebra brush pen. I'm going to put some darker chunks in here because his hair is black. Or blackish. So I'm going to want to darken it up in spots. Keeping in mind the more of a highlight from a light source that's coming from above. Whether it be the sun or light bulbs. So it's almost like a ring there. Much like with the coloring of Valkyrie's hair yesterday, showing that bounce, body, and shine. Can't say this is a Pantene Pro V hair, but I can say it's Pert Plus. I'm trying to pick some 80s brand of shampoo to give the bounce, body, and shine. Okay, so that gets Wonder Man's hair established. Let's move on to his shades because they are overlapping his face. So I want to tackle them. Who's my favorite Justice League character in the comics? It's Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. Have not seen the Justice League movie, so I can't really speak to that. So I'm going to use a dark red for his shades here, at least initially, because he has red lensed shades. Not to be confused with Cyclops' ruby quartz shades. These are not those. Think back in the 80s, his ionic power that resides inside of him gave him red eyes. I think later it became purple, a purple energy, but in the 80s it was, and even prior to that, I think he first debuted, is it the 1960s? Are my comic historians still here on with me? I think it was the 1960s that he debuted, and it was red up through the 80s, maybe even into the 90s. Red eyes, red ionic energy, so his shades had a red tint. Is it because they were red lenses? Is it because his red ionic energy was emanating from his eyes and turning the lenses red by light source? Head and Shoulders, Selsun Blue. Yes, two other great 80s shampoos. I know they still make Head and Shoulders, but do they still make Selsun Blue? Selsun Blue also sounds like an 80s new wave band. Echo and the Bunnyman is on a double bill with Selsun Blue. Okay, I'm going back to my black micron. Actually, not the 0.8, a little too big. We're going to go to the 0.1. Going to get those eyebrows in. And then let's see, we're going to, actually, now that I know where the shades are there, I'm going to bring the sideburns down a little bit. And then we're going to go to some brown here for his skin. So we're going to render out the nose here, nostrils. So brown here is the closest to what would be a dark enough color to tie in with Wonder Man's specific skin tone. Get this jawline down to the chin. A little bit of the cheekbone there. Let's get his smile inked in now. Bottom lip. Did I use dark red for his glasses? Absolutely I did. Yes. Yes, I did. A little bit of a dimple there. Okay, now I'm going to switch back to the black for his turtleneck here. Do I mainly use the 0.8 line markers, as in like the pens here? No, I use the 8 a lot, absolutely. I also use the 0.1 and the 0.05. I use those interchangeably very regularly. Actually, I'm going to use a dark blue for his turtleneck, now that I think about it. Use a dark blue micron here. What pencils do I often use? I use mechanical pencils. With HB lead, I use mostly a 0.3, but sometimes I use a 0.5 as well. So since I kind of established a light source coming from a little bit from our left, his right, I put the bridge of his nose on his left side of his nose. So I'm putting little darker lines over here on the rib of his turtleneck. Kind of helps create a little bit of texture here. Maybe a little bit darker down here at the bottom. All right, let's see. So we're going to go back to that dark red micron for his red jacket. Very suave. Yeah, Suave is another 80s shampoo. Or at least it's a shampoo. Wasn't Suave from the 80s? I think they still make Suave. I'm sure that's not what you're referring to, but it is interesting that this live stream has been shouting out several different shampoo brands. But Wonder Man is a pretty suave guy. What is my favorite Avengers issue? I don't think I have a specific issue, like one particular issue that I would say is my favorite. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. So now I'm going to use my Statler Mars plastic eraser here. Take out all these pencil lines. No longer needed. They have served their function. And now we just wipe them out. It's almost time for color, gang. We're going to start putting in some color here on Wonder Man. Okay. So we're going to start with some, this is a lighter Post-it note, so I'm going to use, I'm not going to go, usually I go darker with my color choices, but this time I won't really need to as much. So I'm going to start with some E01. Going to start to sculpt out the planes of his face, leaving open area. For highlight or lighter colors. Now some E00, a lighter shade in the E0 family. Now use whatever colors you have. Colored pencils, crayons, other brands of markers, whatever you got. You don't have to use Copic markers. I'm just calling out the color Copic codes in case anyone else is using Copic markers. They can match with the ones I have, or I am using, I should say. But use whatever you have. Let's bring in a little R11. Gonna rosy up that nose a little bit. A little R11 through the cheek. Actually, you know what? I need a stronger pink here. I'm gonna go to the R20. A little bit here on the chin. I'll take the R11. Just kind of blend everything through there. Now let's go for that turtleneck. I'm going to use some blues here. I'm going to start with some B97. Going to work dark to light. Power that to down to a B95. Going to finish this off with a little B12, a lighter shade of blue. To really maximize the blue. Okay, so for his hair, it's going to be kind of a bluish gray. So I'm going to start with some B95. I'm going to keep that. Remember when you're inking here, I was mentioning that ring of highlight? I want to maintain that ring of highlight. So I'm going to leave some area open. To help keep that highlight going. So it's arcing around his head there. And gives it that healthy body and shine. We're going to come in with a little neutral gray 4. Just to kind of minimize some of that blue. Kind of mute out that blue a little bit. Let's see. Now we're gonna go. Let's tackle his jacket first, and we'll do his shades last. So I'm gonna start. We're gonna work dark to light again. So I'm gonna use some RV56, so a darker shade of red. For some of the darker areas, so that would be all the areas that kind of butt up against his neck, the collar overlapping onto his shoulder. He does look a little bit like Clark Kent, doesn't he? Strong jaw, dark hair, glasses. I could totally see how they would look a little similar. Hairstyle's a bit different. Don't recall Clark Kent ever having feathered 80s Hollywood hair. Clark Kent with major swag, yes. Yes. An little R27. Or no, we used some R27, now some R24. All right, let's see. While I have the R24, I'm going to start working on his shades. I want to try to make him look a little reflective. So I'm leaving some white of the paper there, or the open area of the paper there. Maybe a little R27. Right down through there. I'm going to come in with an even darker shade of red, a little R59. And right through the center, going to kind of create that horizon line. Going for some real organic shapes. Go back to a little R24 there. Oh, I want to get the nose bridge thingy. Let me put some skin color here on his neck. Kind of forgot that. Get a little more second layer of color here on some parts of his face there. Just kind of pump that up. Now let's come in with some cool grays for some more realistic shadows. So I'm going to start with some cool gray 2. Anywhere where I want to cast a shadow, like underneath his hair or his bangs are flopping over his forehead. Here on this side of the bridge of his nose, this side of his face. Because remember, we said the light's coming kind of above and from this side a little bit. Underneath the ear there, right underneath the shades a little bit. And create a little shelf there. For sure underneath the tip of his nose, there by the nostrils. Maybe across the top lip. Definitely under the bottom lip. A little under the chin. Here at the corners of the mouth where the smile pulls. Maybe a little bit from the nose right there. That muscle that pulls from the nose to our cheek, to our mouth. Nothing too heavy. So I might want to come in with a little darker cool gray, a little cool gray 3 for some darker shadows. When it comes to doing the shading, I like to start light because I can always make things darker if it's not dark enough. But if I start too dark, it's very, very difficult to find a way to get back to a lighter shade without causing a great mess. So it's better to work light and then go darker as needed. Because like I say, it's like getting a haircut. They can always take more off, but they can't put the hair back on. Don't know if your barber has ever said that to you when getting a haircut. Now for his teeth, we're going to do the white pencil trick. So I'm going to come in with some cool gray 4 here. Kind of put a little bit of shadow here on the sides of the teeth. And then we're going to come in with some cool gray 5 here for some shadows in the red jacket and the turtleneck. So his neck would be casting a shadow there onto the collar. This side of the turtleneck would have some shadows. Here where the jacket overlaps, and where his neck overlaps the jacket. Actually going to put some of that cool gray 3 in his shades. Just a little bit. Now let's see what we need to do. Let's create a fade here. We'll do a neutral gray fade. We'll go even numbers. So we'll start with a neutral 6. Actually, I got an idea here. Do I want to do that idea? I think I will. So we're going to do a gray to purple fade. So neutral gray 6 to some neutral gray 4. So I'm just kind of swatching it in there. Don't even know if that's the right word. Just some chunks of color. Now I'm going to switch over to the purples here. So some BV11. I'm just going to color this BB11 over this gray and let these purple and gray inks mix and merge and blend together naturally, because these markers are made to want to blend with each other. And then some V01. So purple here just to kind of hint to the purple ionic energy that he will later develop in his storyline. Now I'm going to take that white colored pencil here just to add some subtle highlights. One, color in his teeth, his white teeth. Going to put a little highlight here at the tip of his nose. Going to color put a little white here. In his shades. Color a little white here through the highlight in his hair. And that little ring. It's a subtle thing. But I think it kind of gives a little bit more. A little more detail. And then now for the finishing move, the Uniball Signo white gel pen. I'm going to put my trademark white halo around Wonder Man. Just butting the white line right up next to the inked line, not over the inked line. As best as possible. Just a little bit more here. And there we go. Let's put a little bit of this white here into the shades here. Just give some brightness to them. Going to take my my black micron here. We'll put my name and date on here. Today is the 27th. March 2020. There we go, Wonder Man. One of my personal favorite Avengers. So let's flip the camera around here, and we can wrap up today's show. All right, let me plug back into the rig. One moment. All right, thanks so much. Hope everyone had a good time. Hopefully you had some fun drawing with me. If you drew along, if you just tuned in to watch, so glad for your support there as well. I'll be posting a shot of Wonder Man on my social media, and I'll have links to all my social media here in the video description below. So if you're watching it on replay, hopefully it's below. It will be soon before the end of the day. But you can find me as @Todd Nauck on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook you can find me as The Art of Todd Nauck. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Please subscribe here to my YouTube channel. Just smash that subscribe button, and then you can tap the bell to set your notifications to alert you when I schedule my next live stream, as well as any art videos I might post, so you don't miss out on any of my content. If you liked what you saw, please leave me a thumbs up. That's greatly appreciated, and please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Hope y'all had a good time. Hopefully you're staying healthy and well during coronavirus stay-at-home season, and we can hopefully get past all this and get back to normal as soon as possible. If your local comic book shop is still open, then I'm sure they're still able to get you product, or maybe some classic back issues, you know, and a lot of stores have curbside pickup, so you don't have to go in the shop. You can maintain that distance. You can place your order, drive to the shop, and then they will be outside ready to hand you your stuff, and you can just keep on trucking back to the house. Some stores are even doing mail order. They will mail you your comics. So do reach out to your local comic shop if you're looking for some stuff to do, some stuff to read. If you're looking for some material, if your shop is open, call them up. Look them up on comicshoplocator.com, or check your local listings. Google comic shops near you. Support your comic shops so that these small businesses can stay alive through this really difficult time. You can get some cool comic books to read while you got the time to catch up on some reading, and as we wait for everything to get back to normal. Again, everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support. Looking forward to seeing you again for the next Post-it Pop Art video. And yeah, till then, stay safe, stay healthy, wash those hands, keep on drawing, and keep having fun. I'm Todd Nauck. Talk to you again real soon. Take care, everybody.